The sun blasted through the helicopter window, right into Fyodor Molosov's face. Try as he might, he could not shake the blazing light from his sleepy eyes, and found himself sitting up from his seat and peering out the window. They weren't far off. The frosted landscape reflected the infernal sun, sparkling like powdered diamonds as far as his eyes could see, straight to a mysterious crater that housed the secret military science facility, Schwanwich. He stretched in his seat, ruffling his fluffy parka as he moved around, popping his old joints from his uncomfortable sleeping position. They had been flying for over 10 hours from St. Petersburg to Siberia, and soon he would be back to work, creating a brand new biological weapon in the name of Russian diplomacy. Though the Cold War ended between the Soviet Union and the United States recently, the two nations kept a close watch on each other. Molosov wasn't too surprised by the outcome of the meeting he had with President Yeltsin and others. However, he wasn't looking forward to sharing his lab with this newcomer. He looked up from his seat to her seat. Dr. Ekaterina Markov sat reading her book, sheltered from the sun's blinding rays. She was very pretty. Her long legs wrapped in nylons curved over her seat, crossed, her round-toed flat dangling from her suspended foot. A short but tasteful skirt reached just above her knees, while her white parka reached well below her waist. Long blonde hair pulled tight in a bun on the back of her head, and just over her book he could see her sharp blue eyes moving down the page, scanning the information and logging it into her hippocampus. He was smitten with her, but he also found her peculiar. She was the leading mind in genetics, with many successful experiments under her belt. But with her youthful appearance, she could only be in her late 20s. How on earth could she be a reputable scientist and look like a supermodel? He surmised that she must have been her own test subject at one time. To do what she did with genetics was simply astonishing. Rumor had it that she could change one's entire appearance by changing a single strand of DNA. Hence why President Yeltsin wanted Dr. Markov to work with him, Dr. Molosov, on their latest assignment, spying on the U.S.'s newly formed Bureau of Monster Capture and Rehabilitation. Dr. Molosov admitted that he wasn't familiar with Dr. Markov's work, but he had some experience in genetic experiments. However, most of his projects hadn't gotten past the prototype stage due to their crude designs. They were less than finished, less than human, less than obedient. What would one expect from a monster anyways? He preferred his electronic monstrosities. They were controllable. Flip a switch and they turn off. Just a combination of circuitry and reinforced steel, accepting all commands given to them without a whimper or complaint. When he was commissioned to create human-animal hybrids, he did not blink at the challenge. But his efforts were less than fruitful, and it was in the Soviet Union's best interest to create their own monsters in case of an American attack. So President Yeltsin hired Dr. Markov to design a new weapon, a symbol of the Soviet Union's immeasurable strength that would make the Americans blink. He was still astounded by what he had learned during their meeting in St. Petersburg. Just imagine an army of monsters obeying their enemies' orders. St. Petersburg, February 1995, 0900. More than 15 hours prior, Dr. Molosov sat in a conference room in a building in the middle of St. Petersburg. He didn't really know where he was. He entered one building only to take an elevator to the basement, ride a cart for about 3.5 kilometers till he ended up in another basement with several doors, one of which opened to the conference room. He walked in and was greeted by several SBP, Presidential Secret Service, and President Yeltsin himself. After a salute, he took a seat next to Dr. Markov, who he'd not met by that point, and across from a man with short dark hair and dark eyes. His name was Nikolai Zaitsev, a tall and burly man with a clean-cut beard and a face of cold authority. He had several light scars on his face, rumored to be from an accident in Czechoslovakia in 1968.